right, greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our episode today. So here in the studio, we are a team of 5 people. We would like to just engage in a discussion on engaging our children during the holidays in a meaningful and purposeful and gainful manner. And so we welcome you to our discussions today. I am the moderator of the discussion, Mrs. Evelyn Mutura, and I would like to introduce to you the team with me at the station today. So first of all, we have Mr. Ian Warua. Ian, you can say hello.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Great to be here. As you've heard, my name is Ian Warua, staff member, Strathmore University. I'm a parent, 3 children. Thank you for inviting me.
Karibu sana, Bwana Warua. All right, karibu sana, Mr. Boniface Kagiri.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. My name is Boniface Kagiri. Let me say I'm a person with a more than casual interest in matters of family. And I am married with 2 boys. And I am a sales professional. That's what I do for a living. Yeah, simple enough.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much. And there is a young man here with us. Mr. Ndungu is his name. Okay, Ndungu, say hello to everyone.
Hi, my name is Ndungu Gitahi. My father right here is Mr. Boniface Kagiri. And thank you for having me today.
Okay, karibu sana. Karibu sana, Ndungu. All right, and we have Dr. Edah Njuguna with us today as well. Karibu sana, Daktari. Or is it Doctari?
I'm Daktari. I'm okay with any. Thank you very much. My name is Dr. Edah Njuguna. I'm a consultant pediatrician. I am a mother. I am married. I'm a mother of 4 lovely children, and I am happy to be in this engagement. Thank you.
Okay, welcome very much, everybody. So, our mandate today and our interest is to discuss how to make good use of the holiday time. So, we are all aware that many of our children are at home on long holiday, about 8 weeks of it, or almost even 9. And of course, one of the cheapest and easiest and most available thing to do is to turn to technology. So today we would like to discuss more on managing screen time and internet technology, such that we enjoy much more than that, the indoors and the outdoors as well, so that our children can go back to school well rested and ready for the new academic year. So without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Warua to give us precisely ideas on that, managing screen time and internet technologies.
Thank you very much, Evelyn. Screens are an obvious issue for all of us because of their positive and negative potential, first of all. Not just the proper use of time. In fact, we have data showing that the average time per day by a Kenyan social media user during which they are using social media is 3 hours 55 minutes, just below 4 hours. This is data from the 2023, possibly more now. So a lot of time is being spent by the young people and ourselves on social media, which is just one aspect of the use of screens. Well, it's not just the use of time, because the use of time, we talk about overuse, we talk about addiction, other harmful effects of screen use, of the abuse of screens. But there is also the specific nature of the online activities, what kind of things people are doing online when they are using their screens. And these activities could be inimical to good values. They could reduce levels of empathy. They could damage emotional intelligence, which are part of the maturity, the development of our children. We have scientific data now showing a direct connection between overuse of screens with poor sleep patterns, poor attention spans, loss of focus, poor school performance. That's why this is a very important issue. Then there is also the exposure of our children to malicious people, fraudsters, criminals, pedophiles. All manner of fraudsters are now operating online. Con men who want to extort money from us and from our children. Others are looking for private data to steal passwords. The goal of identity theft seems to be quite valuable among these people. There are other issues, like there are people who are purveyors of misinformation. They want to manipulate behavior of our children and ourselves. They want to profit from certain behaviors that they manipulate from us, sometimes for commercial reasons, but also political reasons. Young people need to know that these are violations of their dignity as human persons. And so there are numerous problems. Despite this, I want to really emphasize from the outset that the use of screens, when well guided, can be really positive and useful. Screens, gadgets, the internet, these are learning spaces that can create new opportunities for innovation, connect with people near and far, collaborate with others who we would not ordinarily meet, even make a decent living through the internet.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Warua. And then maybe, Mr. Kagiri, you could tell us what indoor and outdoor activities could we encourage or assist our children to engage in, so that precisely we make good use of the internet in terms of the amount of time we spend on it and get in those meaningful activities there. So what would be the suitable or examples of suitable indoor and outdoor activities to complement this?
Yeah. So thank you very much. And I think bearing in mind that this talk is coming at a time when children are going on holiday, it also means that the place where they spend most of their time now has changed from school to home. There's an extra about 10 hours that are going to be spent at home when you think about time used to travel to school and to study. And therefore, when you think about it from that perspective, you're talking about 50 hours a week extra that actually need to be accounted for, so to speak. And it's not a matter of like being back to back with the children, but it's a matter of recognizing that there's a significant amount of time that is going to be spent. The reason I mention this is to be able to make maybe parents or even children themselves understand that it is immense, it's humongous, it's a big deal. When you think about it, and like as Warua has said, it's not all about people are going to switch on to their gadgets and they're going to become comatose and get spoiled. There are the good things that come with the technology, but you need to fill this other time that is not being used with technology with other things, other activities. And I think as a matter of principle, that is the thing, because when it comes to these matters, life does not like a vacuum.
Yes.
So you have to fill it with something. So, and that becomes the second part of the answer, like, what is this thing then? Somebody's not even used to being home. By 11 a.m., they're actually wondering, do I go left, right, center? Do I go outside? Do I go to the bedroom? You know? So it's important that if you're the parent, you guide, or even if you're the child, you be very conscious that I need to actually know what I should be doing at any one point in time. So if somebody likes to read books, then they can set a time for that. It does not have to be, it's not 100% schoolwork. Sometimes it is interest. Somebody else likes to play soccer. Somebody else likes to bake cakes. Somebody else likes to do this, but they are able to do it within this time and fill the time. And they are also able to get time, even if it is for that technology. Let me call it technology. in a positive, guided manner. And maybe the other thing I would like to say is that as the parent, I think it is your responsibility maybe to give the guidance on how things should happen. If you're a dictator, I don't know whether you're lucky or unlucky, that becomes very easy. But if you're a negotiator, you can as well sit down and try to get an understanding. But really, it's your responsibility to be able to guide on what direction this should take. And for you to do that, you have to take a keen interest so that you can also know that my children are home on holiday, but this particular one has developed an interest in even technology. It could even be something to do with technology, robotics, coding. It could be one of those things that are technology related, but if the interest is there, then you give the facilitation or the guidance. So that's how I would look at it. The why, it's because of the time, and then the how. What do you do? Yeah.
Or where can parents get the guidance to guide? Because sometimes you want to guide, but you actually don't know how to go about it. So how maybe what could you share with parents about how to go about it?
Yeah.
Who will tell them how to go about it?
Okay. I think, and you're right, it's not obvious. As a parent, you might think and then maybe later the world shows you, utajua hujui. So I always say that it's good to look for competence. Take a keen interest. If you're a professional engineer, it is because you went to school, did a degree, got some experience. So if you also want to be a professional parent, you need to go and look for the knowledge. If you're gonna pay up a course, if you're going, it could be as simple as going to the bookshop and buying a very simple book and starting to develop some competence. However, the resources are there now. That's the beauty. You don't have to work so hard. If you go online, even if not everything may be very correct, but you could get easily a lot of improvement within a few weeks to know how to be able to do this. We are at an advantage again because of the same technology. Sometimes when we go look for answers, they are almost readily available. Yes. So for those who could be struggling with the guidance, I would ask them to just take an interest, spare 30 minutes a day, and you'll be surprised what happens in 2 weeks. Because you begin to know that, because it's a wide topic, it depends on who your child is, their temperament, and what their interest is.
Yes.
But you will see all those principles there. Just go to the bookshop, buy a book, take a course, come to Strathmore, do the program for family development, do something that sort of helps your competence in these matters of being the leader and the parent.
Right. Thank you very much. I would like to hear now from a mother's perspective, Dr. Edah. So what would be your ideas and comments on these indoor and outdoor activities that we are trying to find out, get involved in, so that they can be a good complement or almost replacement of too much technology?
Okay, so it's interesting. I give both a mother's perspective and also a doctor's perspective because every mother at the end of the day, or any parent, would want their child to develop as a well-rounded child. You're not only academic, but you're able to interact with the society at large. You're able to be emotionally intelligent, to be able to read the cues of the people around you. And one of the greatest concerns we're having is the issue of virtual autism. So that children are not exactly autistic, but because they spend so much time behind the screen, and this is something even the house helps do, because it helps them to get their work done. So you find that these toddlers are not well stimulated. They don't have the adequate stimulation from interaction with the environment and with their peers. And so they have delayed milestones, they have aggressive behavior, they are not even able to have eye contact with you, they are not able to just have that social interaction with the people around them or their environment.
Yes.
And many of them get diagnosed as autistic, but really they are not. It's just that they are spending too much time behind the screen. Although we know that some of these neurodevelopmental conditions are actually on the increase, like autism. Then the other thing Mr. Kagiri actually alluded to is the idea of structure. You need to create a structure, even within the house. You know, like, I suppose for these guys, it might not be the way it was for us. I remember when we were children, my mom would organize the duties and write them down and hang them somewhere. But for some reason in the morning, she would want to repeat and wake us up at 7. So that, I think it was her way of getting us out of bed. And then repeat, you know, everybody, there was the one who would sweep outside, the one who would, you know, do the dishes, the one who would do laundry. But what I liked about that structure was, it was really what you liked to do. So there were people who would never want kitchen duty. And there were others who were happy to do outside. I was the one who loved to do the laundry. Kitchen duty was not my strength, but I have improved. So the children need structure. So like when we get up, what do? We have breakfast. We have a rota of who is doing dishes. Doesn't matter how young they are. And this is a great temptation to exempt the younger ones from doing some of these duties because you will repeat those dishes. You will wash them again. But as imperfectly as it's done, it is fine. And then you will just keep repeating until they get the hang of it. Although the temptation with that, at least I see it in my house, is the older ones forget how young the young one is and they want to give you full duty, you know, including sufurias and all those. So you have to regulate it, but you have to create structure for when we do house chores. And there are chores that are appropriate for different ages.
Exactly.
So a 2-year-old can do tidy up, you know. A 4-year-old could also help with straightening things. And you'd be surprised the capacity these kids have. Like, I just happened to listen to a conversation yesterday and someone was being asked about a drain. Then I wondered which drain. So apparently there's a balcony drain that's not been taking water out very well and it's raining. And so he was told if the house floods, imagine it's going to be on you because the carpet is going to flood and you need to deal with that drain. I don't remember hearing the instructions of how exactly it was going to be done, but I know today it was going to be done. So I think with that comes the fact that you are believing that they're able to take on responsibilities, you know, and that they can do it. You're believing in them and you're giving them chores and expecting that they're able to do it. Also to remember that the small ones, the toddlers, the preschoolers, they learn by testing limits. So you may have said you'll watch until this time and then stop, but they will still want to push that limit. Now for parents, you have to be consistent. It can't be today I allow you to exceed and then tomorrow I'm telling you stop and I want you to stop immediately.
Okay.
So we have to be consistent. If it is from this time to this time, if telly doesn't come on before this time, then it won't come on. You have to be consistent. The teens will have understood what your limits are.
Yes.
But they're impulsive. You know, they want to try. And, you know, sometimes, and I find it happening to me a lot, when they grow up, like I have a teenage son who's now taller than all of us and he has a base. And sometimes when he's talking, I keep thinking it's the dad and then I come out and it's this guy. And he reasons with you sometimes and you think he's really reasoning well. But then also, they're not yet mature enough to be allowed to go it on their own. So that part of the brain that controls, you know, behavior and good decisions, the frontal lobe, is not fully developed. Yeah. So they are grown, but they are not grown in the mind. So you also have to keep that in mind and not get tired of repeating. You know, parents have, how many times do I have to tell you, oh yeah, you will repeat it as many times as is necessary. I think also it's good to cultivate like a reading culture. I think anyone can read. I don't think it's about like I like it or I don't. Anyone can read. But then also as parents, you have to be, you know, you have to really try and see what their interests are.
Yes.
Just because you enjoyed Enid Blyton and Charles Dickens when you were a baby doesn't mean everybody will enjoy those books. Yeah. And I think what has helped me is to visit my friends and see that the sort of books their kids are reading are almost the sort of books these people are reading. But you need to have an idea of what the books are generally about. And then when they actually get round to using the gadgets, because I don't think you can eliminate it 100%, we need to be aware of what it is that's being watched how safe are they with these devices? Like, have we put in those parental controls that sort of limit? And I don't think this is overdoing it. I think there's a need to do it. Yeah. So the sites they can visit, and even how much time they're actually going to be on that screen for. In fact, today when I was coming and I was telling my daughter what I'm coming to do, then they said, oh yeah, like the way when Dad was in Sierra Leone, we had to email him to increase for us screen time. And they had to wait, regardless of what the time zone was like. Yeah. So I think, and they understand and they appreciate it. Yeah. So the device is not just there. You use it for as long as you want. We need to see how safe it is and are we timing it? And even when it's time for them to get it off, the African parent in us would like to say, everybody stop, go to bed. In this generation, it might not work very well. So one of the things we can do is to give them, guys, 5 more minutes. So I usually find that when it's time for people to go to, usually we watch a common thing in the evenings. The dad goes something like, it's time to brush your teeth. So they pause and they go brush their teeth and they know they're coming back. Then when they come back, before they unpause, they're told 7 minutes. So you see, they watch knowing they have just 7 minutes to go. And then after that, after the 7 minutes are done, we put it off without a fight. So many movies we watch like a series. We don't finish. We continue tomorrow like that. So you see, that way, we all have something to look forward to.
Yes.
And I just want to say that most parents are busy. You're professional. You have a full-time job. You have this career. You have this other thing. But to remember that the same investment, like Mr. Kagiri was saying, you're putting in your professional work is actually the same zeal, maybe even more, in the house, because these are some of the most precious things people you have in your life. So to allow ourselves to complicate our lives a bit during this holiday, it can be that we're working throughout. You have to find a balance and actually spend time and get out and do fun things with them. Some of them are not fun for you, but you just get out and do it. And you'll be surprised how simple the children are. They probably don't need too much to make them happy, They just want to hang out with you. And when you're there, they really don't need the screen much.
Yes.
And to remember, the feel-good hormones, the endorphins, come from outside. They don't come from the screen. Actually, the screen drains you. Yeah. Even for us adults, that concentration, that irritability, that low performance, it affects us as well. So as much as we're trying to control our kids and the screen, even us, how are we handling the screens ourselves? Sometimes I justify, I'm a doctor, but they might want to call me and that. But after I have received that call, what else am I doing on the screen?
Scrolling.
Yes, doom scrolling. So we also have to give good example. And I think this thing of screen time is really a problem for all generations. Yeah. So I think, that's my contribution.
Yeah, so Master Ndungu, you hear even parents have to learn how to control their screen time. Yes, but we also want to hear from you. What do you think about a holiday where you balance your indoor activity, like Dr. Edah said, maybe a bit of reading, maybe, I don't know, maybe do you have school homework this holiday? No. So you don't have holiday homework, but maybe there are some general books you have for school related material, and then playing games with your friends, and then some time on the internet, maybe on your PS4 if you have one, or is it PS5 that is the latest? Yeah, what do you think about mixing all these things nicely?
I think the first thing you need to get is a timetable. When you have a timetable, you're not worried of what you want to do and what where you should go.
Yes.
You just need to know what time it is and what you're meant to be.
Yes. But sometimes it's tempting to, especially when you're like on a game on the computer, you want to stay, or the tab, you want to stay. It's tempting.
I think when I'm on the PS, I stop even earlier because I hear my friends playing outside. So I find it more fun to play outside because it's more engaging.
Yes.
It's more fun, it's fit. There are people to talk to, it's not boring. And then I think people need to wake up early, sleep early, and get enough rest. At least 8 to 10 hours of sleep. Teenagers.
Yes.
And then it's also good to engage in some sports activities. So that you have some days not revising, you're not reading books, you're just having fun, running around a field. Then maybe some community service would be good. Yeah.
At your age, for example, what community service can you do?
You can go to orphanages. You can visit the sick. You can go and help. You can go and help in the church. Yeah.
Oh, very good. What indoor activities do you enjoy? Let's say, like with this weather, that one day it's very hot, another day it's raining the whole day, and so you have to be indoors. What do you enjoy doing indoors? Reading. Yeah, reading culture is very important. The tech giants the other day apparently were commenting about AI, artificial intelligence, and how we are all, if you like, scared that it might replace some of us, and what will be the impact on jobs. And one of them was saying that 10 years ago or so, they stood in a similar crowd and said that one of the things they'd like to tell parents is that children need to learn programming as a necessary future skill. And they said, well, now we are standing here and changing that story. And we actually want to tell parents that the most important skill, it would seem, is the skill of language. Because if you know how to communicate with the artificial intelligence, your chat GPT and other things, you will be able to make use of it in the best way possible for your work. So it looks like for your generation, Ndungu, the important skill is English. So reading is very important, that you can master the language. Yeah. All right. So Mr. Warua, maybe you can tell us, how can parents cultivate the hobbies of their children? And I'd like you also to maybe help us, because many times we have the perception that these things are expensive. So what could you tell us?
Well, I think quite a bit, some very good indications have been given by Dr. Edah and Mr. Kagiri. I think a lot of the things we often worry about are because we have abdicated parental authority. And we need to get back to that point where parental authority comes back, is executed. Because many of the activities, for instance, the ones we have discussed, like reading, do not really require much. They just require, as Ndungu has correctly said, a timetable, scheduling, time management. And I think this is why it's very important that, first of all, parents enforce rules, screen time. It's very good to have times when the entire family knows that we go off screens, in this family on Tuesdays between 3 and 6 p.m. Every Tuesday, this is family time. Our phones are not allowed. To have a family culture of that sort, even to have tech-free zones, places where these activities that we are describing can be enabled, because in the living room in our home, for instance, say, phones are not allowed in the living area, near the sofa, so something like that. This is the way I think we need to think, rather than have a project-based management approach where we are thinking of resources and how much will this cost. It's more a parenting issue. I think that some of these activities can also be screen-based. So Dr. Edah has said something very important about checking what exactly are they doing online. When they go online, when we've allowed them, and they say they are doing homework, so what exactly are they doing? To get the specifics, it's very important, but also to plan screen-based activities ourselves, to determine certain sites that all of us as a family go to, and they become the basis of our next family meeting, a discussion around that particular issue, a particular movie that we want to watch together as a family. These are activities that are planned within the resources we already have, within the screen time, so to speak. But also because this gives us an opportunity to educate our children and ourselves on proper digital and internet use. So simple things like anonymity, which is an issue. When is anonymity right and when is it wrong? Our children need to be told. There are times when you don't put your names there and you have to make public contributions. There are times like that where you need to be anonymous. But there are also times when anonymity is irresponsibility. It's a lack of transparency. It's possibly even immoral because you're just running away from the answering to it. Being responsible. There are many people who abuse social media because of anonymity. It enables you to hide and abuse people or make comments which you are not going to be responsible for. These are not things that our children can automatically know. They need to be told. The things I was talking about, fraud and so on, if a dad could show his son a message he has just received which says, "Tuma kwa hii number," and go through it with his son and explain to him, this is not real, this is fraud, and I know because of this and that and that. There's so much we can do with our screens as part of these activities. Yes.
Oh, thank you very much. Indeed, there is a lot to be discovered, and also, I don't know how could a child be, for example, to do an online program like from these free resource centers like Udemy, Coursera, because in my line of work, I am involved from time to time in the interviewing process, and it is very impressive when you see the CV of a university student who is maybe in the middle of their studies or almost completing their studies, and they have almost 2 pages of Coursera courses they have done, whereas their counterpart has almost nothing. But how young is it? Because maybe we could encourage our children to use the school holidays, especially I have in mind our high school children, to develop that skill that they can use to earn them a part-time job while they're in university. So how is it all right to?
Yeah, I think with the proper guidance, it is all right. And what I have seen with this generation is truly they are very adventurous.
Yes.
And anything tech, they actually think is their docket. So why not? Even as young as the middle ages, the 11 years, 10, 12, they seem to know their way around. Because I find sometimes they even get homework where they get quizzes that are like with a sing-song and a play, and they actually learn. They in our school we get that kind of homework sometimes, and they enjoy to do it. So even for the lower primary and sometimes even the pre-primary ages. So I think with technology they can actually be able to navigate the right, if we guide them, the right courses, the right resources. They are actually up to it. So I think the idea is exposure. Maybe we are not even aware. Most of the times I think the parents are not aware.
Yes.
Yeah. Most of the time it's that the parents are not aware.
Well, in all fairness, also technology is changing so fast, it's hard to keep up. So you let the ones who can keep up, and update you from time to time.
Update us.
Although, as we are saying, at the same time, we have to be careful and help them also to develop that discernment on what is helpful, what is not helpful. Yes, thank you. So, Bona Kagiri, I wanted to ask you more specifically, how can we help our children develop a culture of reading? How do we select books for them? I am thinking particularly that when you think of buying storybooks for the children, in as much as, yes, they don't want to read the Charles Dickens and Pride and Prejudice, but in truth, that is where good English is found and good rhetoric and good logic. But how do we select books for them? Combining maybe serious stories like those ones, the classics, and more relaxed fiction. with developing that culture of reading, because the skill of reading is looking like it's becoming very critical.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me start with, in terms of reading, let me start with what not to do. Like she was saying, don't sort of imagine that what you liked is what is going to be liked. And I think I remember buying one of my sons. I think it was, I don't remember that it was a Hardy Boys or it was a Tom Sawyer. I can't remember. But they were not too impressed. And I was quite scandalized. Like, I mean, this is the book. How can you not? And I mean, this is the reality. People live in a different era, and they took what they like, and that's what they go with. And I think what I'll say is from, if you have very young children, maybe below age, and very young, I mean maybe below age 5, you have a very good opportunity to develop the interest early. That's a time when you can be able to read to the child, and therefore they begin to see reading as a thing that happens. At that time, they only need to see the impression. They only need to see the image and see it constantly. And then later, because as a child is, that's about age 7, 8, 9, they begin to sort of almost express what they like. Yeah. And you can take the reading towards that direction. You can set a time. This is very important.
Yes.
You can set, if like you're trying to develop, and maybe the child is already older. Now these are maybe a 12-year-old, 13-year-old. You can set a time, avail yourself, look at what they like, and try to see whether you can actually read together at a specific time for 10 minutes.
Okay.
Not for 1 hour.
Yes.
And you'll be surprised, after, if it is something they're interested in and the fact that you're there, it becomes a whole other different thing. So, I don't know what to say about Charles Dickens and where you find sort of the very rich language and sort of even very witty sort of things. But it is available, I think, in the books that the kids read today. I think there's a lot of, I think things shifted a lot to sort of extreme, the readings are on extreme adventure and maybe extreme, they're very extreme. And I think our generation was reading very normal things when you talk about adventure or when you talk about music or art. And you can see those themes playing across things, not just the books, the music, the dressing, the kind of education they're looking for, everything. It's, and you have to appreciate, really, it's a different generation. But some things I think stay true, like reading.
Yes.
And it is good you've just mentioned that that's going to become the next big thing, how you are able to communicate. And I'm sure you've all heard, and it's good for our kids to be told this, you've all heard about why it's good to have emotional quotient. Now people are saying, no, yes, it's okay to have an IQ, you need an EQ, you need a social quotient, you need all these things, because that's what makes the difference in the world today.
Yes.
I think a few years ago, you could have survived by having a high IQ. That is no longer the case. Now you need to study a human being, you need to understand them in 5 minutes so that you can know how to pull the business deal.
Yes.
Because you are not going to pull it just out of intelligence. And therefore, and I think the generation of kids who are on holiday, let me assume that, are people who are, we're talking about people on holiday, are people who have not finished college. So maybe people below the age of 23 and below. I think this is something to hammer home to them, that reading is a good thing because this is what it does to you. Because these are the skills it gives you, and these skills you're going to use them for your survival. Let me also mention that in terms of technology and the fact that we cannot do without it, and the fact that we are almost the first generation of parents to actually have kids who are born with technology and computers. We're also learning. We're also trying to see, and I like what Mr. Warua was saying here, is giving data about what this is. And the fact that technology is addictive. Sometimes it's also good even for children to look at it as a drug. There's, I dare say, no difference sometimes between a drug and technology, depending on how you use technology.
Yes.
Because if it can be addictive, then it is not a good thing. So we have to ask ourselves, as parents, when we give a child too much technology, is it almost the same as giving them cannabis? Without,
ouch.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Maybe it should be as raw as that.
Yes,
maybe.
Yes.
And I would be the last person to demonize technology.
Yes.
Because we are not going to do without it.
Yes.
We are not going to wish it away. It is going to keep improving. So it's about taking a positive direction as far as technology is concerned. There are children who have, and I think Mr. Warua once told us about those kids. I looked at them on the internet who are very rich, who review games. I think there's a kid who reviews games as they come out, and I think he earns in millions of dollars every other month. And I think that time he was 9. So can you remember the kid where I think he was 9 or 10 years old?
Yes.
So, and of course that's now there are other things about being famous and how you deal with it as a child. It's a whole different thing. But what I'm trying to drive at is there are positive ways in which technology can be used by the same kids. And another thing I'd like to mention for our kids, every time you have a screen, every time you have a screen in front of you, there's a transaction happening. Someone is making money. It's either the person behind the screen, this side of the screen, or this side of the screen.
Yes.
And most of the time it's the person on the other side of the screen. So you may just be, watching TikTok.
Yes.
Very innocently at home. You're going through your Facebook and Tinder, and they have all these applications they go through. And I always ask them, by the way, while you were there, someone made a coin. And it was not you. So I give them a commercial argument because I work in the commercial world. I ask them, so when you did that, who made the money? Where did the money shift? And how do you get nearer to being on the side where you're earning the money? It's a good provocation for them. They can get thinking.
Yes.
Like, what do I do? Get creative. If I like soccer, can I start my own small YouTube link on coaching about soccer and the adventures we have and where we go play soccer, and it doesn't cost much.
Yes.
And I think, and somebody else has another interest.
Yes.
And these are the things we should be thinking about. Let's use the technology as positively as we can, but still in a guided
manner.
Yeah.
I once attended a session where the moderator was talking about the fact that we are in I don't know whether at that time we were still in the 3rd industrial revolution or the 4th. The 4th industrial revolution is actually moving more towards now this EQ discussion. But he was speaking more about technology and not being afraid of technology, and being aware at the same time that technology is a very new concept in our world. And he actually compared it to the time of the Industrial Revolution, the very first one, where people were discovering machines, large-scale machines that were used for manufacturing, and all the accidents, and people lost their lives, they became maimed. So somehow, even as we have discovered the internet, we are still learning how to use it to our benefit. And in a manner of speaking, hopefully we get to a point where, in the same way that when it comes to industrial machines and machines used to manufacture goods, we have even developed occupational safety and health standards, that when it comes to the internet, we will also get there. We have had experience with it, and we're able to tell what is safe, what is not. He actually was saying he dreams of a time maybe when, I don't know who makes these rules, but the internet will be labeled as unsuitable for under 16-year-olds. I know our young people will say there are good things on the internet, but maybe society will be telling them, yes, there are good things, but when you're 18, you'll enjoy those good things. For now, just enjoy being a child because it won't come back. Yes. Mr. Warua, I wanted to ask you, it's true, we're in November, December, changing classes, but as a teacher, father, do you think it is important to look at the school books once in a while? Or it's okay, we can forget everything and start afresh in January?
Yes, absolutely. It's important to have a look at school books. The idea here is priorities, that there is a reason why December is a holiday month. So priority is a holiday, and we are not supposed to be doing schooling. But schooling is one thing, learning is quite another. And children are developing whether we like it or not. Their minds are growing, which means they are learning. Then the question then becomes, what are they learning? What exactly are they learning? Holiday time is an opportunity for them to have skills that are not easy to get during schooling time. I was discussing with a different group about an interesting activity for children over the holiday, which would be to get the children to draw up the family tree, to pick up a piece of paper and draw it up from Guka down to where they are, and fill it up with, not with names like Guka and, auntie, but the actual names. And that means they may have to activate their groups, their WhatsApp groups, and talk to their cousins and so on. This is a very useful activity, and it's a learning activity. And there are a lot of such activities that children can take up for cultural learning, for family history, and so on over the holidays. But then it makes a lot of sense to look for flow, to determine how this joins up with school curriculum. Because if you can find smooth joints, it's very, very good for the children, for their brains. Then they see relevance in everything that they are doing. And so it's good to look at the books. You may find that some of those activities you're designing are actually coming up as a class activity in the CBC curriculum in the following term, school term, and therefore your children are already ahead in that. So I would say not to prioritize school books from a schooling perspective, but to use them for learning purposes, prioritizing that the children do need these other activities that are not easily accessible during the school term.
All right, thank you very much. And actually, with that said, Ndungu, what are you looking forward to the most this holiday? Christmas. You see, the times we have together with family, isn't it? Okay, thank you very much. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a great pleasure. Maybe we can say goodbye to our listeners. Maybe you can give us a parting shot to carry with us during this school holiday. And maybe I could begin with Dr. Edah, please.
Okay. My parting shot to the parents is really, let's maybe not take ourselves too seriously. As far as our children are concerned, allow your playful side to emerge from time to time. Waste time with them.
Yes, and Ndungu, what would you like to tell us?
I think that for example, you come home and you're using the gadgets and you're at home. When your parents pop up and come home, turn off the gadget and spend time.
Okay, thank you very much. Oh, that is very nice. Yes, Mr. Kagiri.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think it was a good conversation. My parting shot would be make a plan around technology in your house.
Okay.
Whatever that will mean for you, but don't be found shooting in the dark. Yeah, like be very conscious.
Yes.
Yeah, to make a plan.
Okay.
Thank you very much, and all the best to everyone in the holiday. During the holiday, don't forget to enjoy yourselves, like she said.
Yes.
It's holiday. Let's have fun. Let's have some fun. Yeah.
Yes, and Mr. Warua.
Yes, quality time. Let's spend time with our children, with the family, prioritizing face-to-face. Let screens supplement the quality time, which is face-to-face and gadgetless.
Okay, thank you very much. So, dear listeners, also thank you for your time, for listening into this podcast. And we wish you wonderful holidays and see you next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.